StraihtAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together into one bundle, one method, one mindset, one philosophy, one book, one show in this masterclass right here that I call Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to earn people's respect. You want to be a respected individual for the skills that you bring to the table, for who you are as a person, for the position that you hold, and wherever you go in life. That's what we're talking about here today. Let's get a definition, first of all, of this word respect. It means a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. So if you want someone to have some admiration for you based on your skills, based on how they would describe you, or based on things that you have accomplished or achieved, I think everyone listening to this wants that. I think everyone listening to this would love to have their game respected, whatever your game happens to be. You probably have more than one game. Everybody wants respect as a person, and you want your abilities and accomplishments respected. You want to have abilities that are to be respected. You want accomplishments that would be respected, and you've probably seen people who have abilities that you don't have, and you see how they're respected. So you're like, man, if I get that ability, they're going to respect me too. And you've seen people have certain accomplishments, and when people have a certain accomplishment, you're like, damn, if I could get that accomplishment, I'll be respected too. We've all done that in our minds, even if we never really thought it out consciously. So what I need you to understand, and what you're going to understand by the time this class is over, that there is an art and a science to earning the respect of other people. And I would assume that if you're listening to this, you're probably respected at some level by some number of people in some environments in your life already. So what we're going to talk about here today, I'm going to dissect where that respect comes from. What are the things that you did consciously or unconsciously to earn that respect? And because now that we have, by the time this is done, we'll have reverse engineered where that respect comes from. Now you can take this same process and you can apply it to anywhere else you go in life to get the respect that you want. So anywhere that you feel like you're not respected the way that you want to be, all you have to do is take this reverse engineering that we're going to be doing here today and apply it to anywhere else that you want to earn more respect. Does that sound like a simple enough plan? Good. Let's get into it. Point number one, today's topic is how to earn people's respect. The first thing you got to do is you got to give respect. All right, if you want to get respect, you got to give it. Give what you expect to receive. This is the law of karma that I mentioned so many times here through these classes, that whatever you put out is what you're going to get back. So anything that you expect to get, you got to give. You want to be a respected individual, you can start by showing respect to everybody else. So when you show people respect, for the most part, they're going to show you respect back. Now, are there exceptions to this? People that will just be disrespectful, or people who be disrespectful even though you're respectful to them, or people who will be not nice even though you're nice to them? Of course. I mean, there are exceptions to everything. But this is a very simple, and I would advise you follow this general rule for dealing with other people. Now, the question is, how do you show respect? What are some things that you can do to show respect for another person? How about listening to people? This is becoming a lost art, listening to other people. A lot of people are good at hearing other people. There's a difference between hearing someone and listening to them. Hearing them means you recognize that words were spoken, and you can maybe even notice the words. Listening means you recognize that the words were spoken, but you also understand the energy behind the words, the context of the words, maybe notice some things that were not said that maybe you need to understand even though they weren't being said. All of that is part of listening. And it's when you're listening properly to another person, they feel encouraged to share more with you. If a person doesn't feel like sharing more with you, even though you, quote, heard them, close quote, then that's probably because you're not a very good listener. So learning to listen to other people, and listening is a communication skill, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people think communication means talking. Talking is only half of communication. It's not even half. It's just an element of communication. Listening is a big element of communication as well. Because if you're not listening to another person, they're going to feel as if their communication to you has fallen on deaf ears, that they didn't get their point across. And that's when they may repeat themselves or get louder or get angry with you because they feel like you're not listening to what they're saying, right? Which means there's a failure in communication. between both people. Communication only happens, there has to be at least two entities involved for communication to happen. And if either one of them feels as if the communication is not working, that means both of you have failed. So listening is a skill that will help you show more respect to other people. If you want people to feel like you're being respectful of them, listen. Hear people out. Meaning, when something goes on and you are trying to figure out what happened, or you're trying to figure out what a person is about, or someone has something they want to share with you, let them say what they want to say. Don't interrupt them. Don't approach them with preconceived notions about who they are and what they're about. Let them actually say what they need to say. Maybe they'll share something that could change your mind. Maybe they'll share something that will open your mind. Maybe they'll share something that will fill your mind if your mind was open before you even got there. That's how you can hear someone out. I remember I was watching a video of, this was probably late summer of 2019. Puff Daddy, who I talked about in one of my Virtual Mentors episodes, number 216, I believe. He had thrown this event called the Revolt Summit. And Revolt is a TV network that Puff put together in conjunction with, I don't know in conjunction with who, but he put that together. And he put together this summit, which is basically it's kind of like a conference for the hip hop culture, where he had speakers and there were a few performers, of course, as he got to put on the show because he's a performer himself. And there was one part of it that I wanted to see. I was looking at the event, actually, when I saw the event was happening. I think he did one in Atlanta and he did another one in Los Angeles. And I was thinking about maybe going to the one in Atlanta. And I was looking at the website, looking at the way he was presenting it. And I was just trying to get a feel for what is this conference really going to be, or this summit really going to be about. Because if I'm going to invest in going to any kind of event, I got to be getting a return on my investment. So I wanted to know, because I ain't going to no fucking rap concert. I'm not into going to rap concerts for various reasons, which we'll talk about on a different show. But when I saw that he was putting this event together, I said, all right, it's Puff Daddy, so I know it's going to be some performances there. I'm all right with some performances, but I'm talking about the learning parts, the enrichment parts, what's actually going to be going on. So I wanted to see who the people were that were coming, what they were supposedly talking about, what they were going to be offering. And ultimately, I decided that it really wasn't going to be worth the investment to go to this event. And that's not a knock on Puff, because there are a lot of people who did go to the event, and I'm sure others who wanted to but couldn't get a ticket. So listen, shout out to everybody who went, and shout out to him for putting it together, for at least giving it a shot. What I wanted to see, though, one event I wanted to see was a panel talking politics and race and the current climate that was held, I believe, on the last day of the summit. And this video got posted to YouTube. Some of y'all probably know about this. It was I forget what the title of the panel was. I don't know if they even had a title, but it was Killer Mike, who's a rapper, who is also very politically active and very politically opinionated, shares his opinions in many places. If you can go look up Killer Mike. There was the other prominent person on it, two other prominent people there. One of them was Candace Owens, who is a black woman, but at the same time, she's a supporter of Donald Trump, and which makes her stand out. She's an anomaly just because of that, without knowing anything else about her. She has her own podcast, which I have saved in my podcast app, but I haven't really dove into her stuff yet. But I like the fact that, first of all, Candace has her own opinion and she's willing to state it and willing to, stand up against the fire, which is going to come when you're a black person supporting Donald Trump, no matter what you say. And there was T.I., who's a rapper. I think most of you know who T.I. is. He's a gangster rapper from Atlanta, who is probably he was the most famous person on the stage at this panel. Now, there were like three other people on the panel, and there was also a moderator, but none of them really said anything. It was these three people that really caught everyone's attention on the panel. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because Candace, she already has a reputation. All right? She is well known for being a supporter of Donald Trump because she is black and because she is well spoken, because she is articulate, because she's educated. So she's not a person who you can't just talk circles around her. She'll talk circles around your ass. And because of that, she was able to stand up on this panel and say what she needed to say. But at the same time, the Revolt Summit audience were mostly not Trump supporters. We'll just say that, to put it lightly. So when Candace began speaking, every time she began speaking and making her points, you could already hear grumblings in the audience from people who didn't really want to hear out what Candace had to say because they already knew who she was and what she was about and who she supported. So people were really just not trying to hear her. And the situation was made worse because one of the other panelists, this rapper T.I., who I'm a fan of T.I., the rapper, listen to his music all the time, he was I think he had even more of a battery in his back because of the audience. Again, T.I.'s from Atlanta. The event was in Atlanta. So he was basically playing a home game for himself. And he successfully, more than once, shouted Candace down. He did not allow her a chance to say what she wanted to say. The audience didn't get a chance to hear her out. And many in the audience didn't want to hear her out. And that whole event, when I saw that, it confirmed to me why I didn't want to go to that conference. Because this kind of stuff, if you're going to have a real conference and it's supposed to help people get better and it's going to be business or it's going to be serious or whatever way you want to describe it, like, you can't have stuff like that going on. Like, even if you disagree with somebody, you still got to be respectful of them. And I felt like the way the audience was behaving and the way that T.I. egged on the audience and the audience egged him on, and that it was all promoted as some kind of, it was like a concert. It was basically like a rap concert, but there was no music. That's basically what it was. And I'm like, no, that's not the kind of event that I would invest in going to. So I was glad that I didn't go. And I'm telling you all that to explain to you that if you want to show respect to somebody, you got to hear them out. You got to let them say what they got to say. Let them speak their piece. Even if you disagree, you'll get a chance to speak after. I mean, nobody here has ever been effectively silenced from speaking your piece. But you got to let people say what they got to say if you want to show respect. Treat people how you want to be treated. Don't ever treat anyone, this is the next sentence here, don't ever treat someone as if they are beneath you, even if they are younger than you or less accomplished than you or maybe not as good as you, or you think they're just not as intelligent as you, or you just think they're just straight up wrong. They support something or believe in something or they're doing something that you completely disagree with. That still doesn't mean you need to be disrespectful of that person. Now, if somebody violates the code of respect and they violate you first, now that's a different story. But if no one has disrespected you, then you don't have to disrespect anybody else. So this is the first point. If you want to be respected, you got to show respect. It's simple enough, right? But there are some elements in that some people don't always think about. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to earn people's respect. Stop being so needy. When you need people, you cannot lead people. I talked about this in masterclass number 301. You cannot need and lead at the same time. Now, somebody who doesn't think too deeply on the subject or maybe hasn't heard that masterclass, which many of you may fall into that category, may say, well, Dre, how can if I don't need people, how am I lead anybody? It's not going to be anybody for me to lead if I don't need anyone. On the contrary, understand that not needing people doesn't mean that nobody's going to be around you. Not needing them means you don't need their approval. You are not so needy of their presence, but at the same time, when they're around, you welcome them. You're happy to have them. You'll do what you need to do to lead them and be supportive of them and take the group wherever the group needs to go. At the same time, you're not needy of their presence. You're not needy of their approval. You're not needy of the validation that you may get from the audience. Neediness repels people and things from you. I talked about this in masterclass number 368. Those who get the most in life, they are aggressive in going after those things, whether they be ideas, concepts, accomplishments, people. They are aggressive in going after the things that they want, but at the same time, they're not needy in wanting those things. There's a difference between being aggressive in going after something and being needy in going after something. There's a huge difference, and I have a masterclass on that exact subject coming very soon. It is hard to respect somebody who is needy, begging, or seemingly unable to do for themselves. And this is what happens when a person's needy. They're portraying the energy that they need you to do something for them, or they're kind of like begging you to do something for them because obviously they wouldn't be able to do it without you. They're just unable to do for themselves. We can't respect a person who's unable to stand on their own too and be self-sufficient to some degree. Thusly, this person needs others to help them or to do for them. Understand that neediness is kryptonite to respect. You know what kryptonite is, right? Superman, the one thing that could hurt him. Neediness is kryptonite to you being respected by other people. So even when, I talked about this a couple weeks ago right here on the show, even if you're hungry, never move like you're starving. All right? Even if you don't have the thing that you need, even if you may not be so capable of getting it yourself, even if you do need someone else's assistance, someone else's energy, someone else's money, their time, any resource outside of yourself, you really do need it. You don't have to act like you need it. Okay, that's all about posture, and I'm going to be talking about that in a couple master classes from now as well. So we got all these subjects. I've either talked about them or I'm going to be talking about them. The ones I have, I'll refer you to the master class that's there or tell you to go look, or I'll tell you that it's on the way. Those who get the most in life, again, they're aggressive in going after it, not needy in wanting it. And it's hard to respect someone who's needy because it seems like they can't get it on their own. And it's hard to respect the person who can't stand on their own too. If you can stand on your own too and get things yourself, then you come across a person who can't, then you're looking at them like, yo, what is wrong with you? Why can't you just do the same thing that I did? Why can't you figure it out the way that I figured it out? Why can't you go get the information or go get the help or go make it happen the way that I did? If the other person can't do that and you think in your mind, you see that there's a way for it to be done, but for whatever reason they're not doing it, it's hard for you to respect that individual. And it's the same way that someone will look at you if you appear to be needy for something that it appears to the person you're talking to you could get this done. So make sure you're not being needy. Be aggressive, but don't be needy. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to earn people's respect. Set boundaries and enforce them. People will naturally, it's just human nature that people will naturally test you to see what you accept and what you will not accept. So if you do not have boundaries, then people and life will push you around as they wish. And it's not because people are bad. It's not because people are malicious or they want to hurt you in any way or they're just trying to take advantage of you in some negative way. It's just because it's human nature. As human beings, we all are programmed to go with other people. We will go as far as the people will allow us to go. If someone allows you to exploit them, you will exploit them, not because you're a bad person, not because you are, again, some type of negative individual or you're trying to rob somebody or any kind of negative adjective you want to put on yourself or on other people. That's not why you do it. You'll do it because it's human nature. This is just a vacuum that you need to fill. If someone allows you to go further with them, you're going to go further. If someone sets a boundary and says you can't go any further, you won't go any further. All right, this is Parkinson's law. Any task will expand or contract based on the amount of time and space that is given for it to take place. If you get an hour to get something done, you'll get it done in an hour. You get a whole day to get it done, you get it done in a day. As a general rule, this is just the way that human beings work. And it's the same way with respect and boundaries and what other people allow with you. So with you, let me ask you a question. What's acceptable and what's not? What will you accept from other people as far as their behavior, as far as your boundaries, and what will you not accept? And if there's something that you won't accept, even the things that you will accept, how will you let people know? How do people know what your boundaries are? How do people know where they need to kind of slow down and not do anymore or not say anymore, or what's okay with you and what's not okay with you? What are your ways of communicating what your boundaries are? Because I guarantee you, the further you go in life, the longer you live, you will come across people who will test those boundaries if they exist. So you need to know what they are, and you also need to know how you'll communicate them, because there will come a time in the near future that you'll need to communicate them, you'll need to use them. Point number 4. Today's topic is how to earn people's respect. Stop mincing words with people and tell them the quote real, close quote. Stop mincing words means tell people what's actually on your mind. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You don't have to be an asshole or a bitch about it, but you do need to let people know what they actually need to know and not sugarcoat things. I know a lot of people who have things on their mind that they want to communicate to another person, and I know what they want to communicate to that person because maybe they told me in private, but then when they get in front of that person, the conversation changes. Everything softens up, and to the point that they almost don't even get their point across. They don't even say what they actually want to say because they're trying so hard to, be nice, to not ruffle any feathers, to not make another person uncomfortable. A lot of people make this mistake, and I'm sure someone who's listening to me right now, you make this mistake. The question I'm asking you is, how willing and able are you with expressing yourself to others, especially when you're dealing with a possibly uncomfortable situation? I'll let you marinate on that question again. I'm going to say it again. How willing and able are you with expressing yourself to others, especially when you're dealing with a possibly uncomfortable conversation or something that either makes you uncomfortable or you think it might make the other person or whoever else is in the room uncomfortable? Masterclass number 1263. I told you how to get uncomfortable and stay there. If you have not listened to that at least 3 times, I suggest you go do it. Masterclass number 1230, why you avoid uncomfortable conversations. Masterclass number 1095, how to utilize uncomfortable situations for your own personal growth. Everyone has heard this saying. I've heard many people say it themselves, that to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right? Everybody likes to say that, but how many people are actually doing it? Right? When's the last time you had an uncomfortable conversation with anyone? When's the last time you were in an uncomfortable situation and instead of doing whatever you could to get out of the discomfort. You stayed there and dealt with it. When's the last time that actually happened? Have you done it yet in 2020? Most people will do anything to avoid uncomfortable situations. Thus, they won't say what needs to be said when they're dealing with other people. They'll say something, but they don't say what actually needs to be said. All right, you ever seen anyone do that? Wink, wink. You ever done it yourself? I'm gonna be direct. Have you ever done it yourself? It's hard to be fully respected when you have a fear of speaking up with other people. Let me tell you a secret. Most of the time when there's something that needs to be said to a person, and most people are pretty smart, right? Most of the people you know, let's just say that. Most people you know are pretty smart, right? If there's something that needs to be said to them, here's the secret. They know what needs to be said to them. All right? They know that you know what they need to hear. And if you, given the opportunity, and you always had the opportunity as long as you had the ability to speak, because you got a phone and you probably know this person, so you see them in person. When you have the opportunity to say what needs to be said to that person, and again, they know what needs to be said because they're no dummy, and you don't say it, they lose a little bit of respect for you because they know that you got the words. They know that you saw the same thing that they saw. You've experienced the same thing that they experienced, and they know that you know how to talk. Y'all know each other. If y'all cool with each other, then you probably are on somewhat of the same wavelength. Whether you're working together or your friends or your relatives or whatever you got going on, your neighbors, you're all on the same wavelength on some level. So they know. And if you didn't say anything, all right, how are they going to respect you? Speaking up, let me be clear. It doesn't mean that you have to have an outburst with people or cuss anybody out or you need to get emotionally out of control. Speaking up means you are clear with people and direct with people, but at the same time being respectful. And they and you both know exactly where they and you stand when you're done saying what you need to say. The challenge with doing this is that there are several challenges. One of the main challenges is that these days, in the very democratic times that we have, in times where people can basically avoid anything that would make them uncomfortable. We can pretty much control who we listen to, what we listen to, who we interact with. We don't have to interact with anyone who's going to say or do anything that's going to make us uncomfortable if we don't want to. Which is why I made all these masterclasses about dealing with discomfort, because it is pivotal to your personal growth. A lot of people avoid discomfort and they're not going to grow. Not because they don't want to grow, but they won't grow because they're not willing to deal with the discomfort of growth. Another reason why people don't really want to deal with these kind of conversations, or they bristle when someone brings this kind of conversation to them, is because, like I said, they don't have any experience with it. And so many of us these days are becoming less and less socially skilled. I did 2 master classes talking about how do you know when a person has strong social skills. Master classes number 1 and 2. That's number 1394 and 1395, both just 2 weeks ago. People don't have the same people skills that people skills we had to have. Let's just say before the year 2000, before the internet became the internet, or let's say before around 2008, 9, 10, when social media became social media and we could communicate with someone without actually speaking to them. You had to develop social skills. You had to go outside and talk to people. You had to speak to someone face to face, or worst case on the phone if you wanted to get something across to them, unless you were writing letters. I don't think many of you wrote too many letters. Nowadays, you could do it all through your phone and typing, and it's all very passive. So you don't develop the same people skills that would come with having a direct one-to-one conversation. Therefore, when someone comes to you with a direct one-to-one conversation, somebody like myself comes to you directly with a conversation. I'm speaking right to you. You can hear my voice, you can see my face, you can feel my energy. You have no idea how to respond to that because you have no experience doing it, because all your communication is through the fucking Facebook Messenger. It means when you're speaking up, it means you're just clear with other people and yourself where you stand, because we all know how we feel about other people, and other people know how you feel. You ever talk to somebody? Let me tell you how it could be. Let me tell you how it was at times. So let's just say sometime in the past. I'm talking to person A. So it's me, person A, and person B, right? So I'm talking to person A, and I'm telling them some things that I think about person B, who is not in the room at the time. They're not around at the time. But this is what I feel about person B. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. They need to know this. These are the things that they're messing up on. This is how I feel. And person A is hearing me out. They're listening. This is strong communication. They're listening. They're telling me, like, you know what, I understand. I agree with the things that you're saying. You're making great points. And now, 20 minutes later, person B walks into the room. Now, person A is still there. I'm still there. Now, person B is here. It's 3 of us instead of 2 of us. Now, person A remembers everything that I said about person B. Now, person B is in the room now. If I don't say what I need to say to person B, how's person A looking at me? Now they're like, all right, all that stuff you was just saying. And again, it doesn't have to be in a disrespectful way. It doesn't have to be in a confrontational way. It doesn't have to be an emotional outburst type of way. The thing is, it just might make me uncomfortable to say it, and I may be predicting that it will make person B uncomfortable to hear it. Therefore, I hold my tongue. Either don't say anything at all, or I say something, but it's so sugar-coated, it's so watered down that the point is completely lost in translation. Any of you ever been through this? Any of you ever been on the receiving end of this, or been an observer of this, or maybe you've been guilty of doing this? I know many people who've been guilty of this. If you want to be more respected, you got to learn how to get over this roadblock. Now, I talk about this in two places. One of them is a people skills course, which you can get at workonmygame.com/people. Another one is my unapologetic and toughen up courses, which are only available. You cannot buy these courses. They're only available through the game group membership. If you're listening to this, you may already be in the game group. If you're not, go to workonyourgameu.com. It's Work on Your Game University, workonyourgameu.com. You can start a free 2-week trial to the game group membership where you get access not only to those courses and several others that I'm not even mentioning right now, but also every masterclass, every episode in the archive of this masterclass. And there are over 1,400 of them. Yes, 1,400 of them in the archive. Can you imagine that? 1,400 of these? You don't have to imagine it because it's real. So let's recap today's topic, which is how to earn people's respect. Definition of respect, once again, a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Since everybody wants respect, everyone sees the abilities and accomplishments in others that get respected, and we aim to get the same things for ourselves. Understanding there's an art and a science to earn this, and today I'm explaining what it is. Point number one, give what you expect to receive. It's the law of karma. When you show respect, for the most part, you get respect back. Yes, there are exceptions, but this is a simple general rule for dealing with others. How do you show respect? Listen to people, hear them out, treat people how you want to be treated. Don't be disrespectful to someone, even if you're better than them, older than them, more experienced than them. You think you're smarter than them. We all think we're smarter than everybody, right? But if somebody violates this code, that's a different story. But for the most part, people are not going to violate you respect-wise if you didn't violate them. For the most part. There are a few exceptions out there in the world, but for the most part, if no one disrespects you, you don't disrespect anyone else. Point number two, stop being so needy. When you need people, you cannot lead people. Masterclass 301, I talked about this. Neediness repels things and people from you, which is why I explained in Masterclass 368 how to stop being needy. Those people who get the most in life are aggressive in going after things. They don't just sit back and wait for them. They are aggressive. At the same time, they're not needy. There is a difference between those two. I got a masterclass coming up on that very soon. It's hard to respect somebody who's needy, begging, or seemingly unable to do for themselves. Everybody's able to do for themselves, but not everybody actually does it. And I got a masterclass coming on that as well, on the subject of posture. And I'm not talking about sitting up straight, even though that's part of it. I'm talking about your mental posture. That's coming soon. Stay tuned. And point number three, set boundaries and enforce them. People will naturally test you to see what you accept and what you will not accept. And if you don't have boundaries, then people and life itself will push you around as they wish. Not because people or life are bad, but because it's human nature. We will go as far as we are allowed to go. Nature hates a vacuum. It will fill it up by taking as much from you as you allow to be taken from you. What is acceptable from you and what is not? And how will you let people know? And point number four, stop mincing words with people and let them know what they really need to know. How willing and able are you with expressing yourself to others, especially when it's a possibly uncomfortable situation for you or them or both? Masterclasses 1263, 1230, and 1095 are all about dealing with discomfort. Most people will do anything to avoid uncomfortable situations. Thusly, they won't say what needs to be said, and it's hard to be fully respected when you have a fear of speaking up with other people. And people have a sixth sense when you're not saying something that you know needs to be said, and the reason you're not saying it is because you're uncomfortable. You can feel discomfort coming from another person. Have you ever seen that? Speaking up doesn't mean you have to have an outburst or get out of control or be disrespectful or be emotional at all. It just means you're being clear with people and that they know exactly where they stand with you and where you stand with them. We all know how we feel about other people. Many people never actually express it. So if you want to be more respected, you got to get over this roadblock of your fear of uncomfortable conversation. I guarantee this is one of the most important skills you could ever develop, is to get over your fear of uncomfortable conversations. It will open up a whole nother world to you. And that's why I told you the Toughen Up and the Unapologetic courses within the game group membership will help you out with that. We'll completely eradicate that fear and change your life, guaranteed. Work on your game. Dre all day.